So how y'all doing? Slugamonger. I love Boker packaging. It's almost too much, right? Because this knife retails for $110. You're gonna pay probably like 75 bucks for it, right? But with that said, this is a genre of knife that I am very happy is continuing. This is a Boker GITFO, GIFTO. That's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for. I've looked it up. I didn't look too hard, but I couldn't find the immediate information on what that actually stands for. Awesomeness, right? I mean, look at it. Yeah, it's the SOCP kind of style knife that might actually have roots somewhere else. I'm just not actually familiar. But I'm definitely glad it's a type of knife that's kind of branching out. You know what I mean? More companies, more designers are starting to make them. I really like that. Comes in the box. You get a little bead cord chain for neck carry if you want to carry it as a neck knife. The sheath here is actually really nice. It's Kydex sheath. It's not really snap in fit, but it kind of pressure fits in there. There's no rattle, no play. It's definitely holds in. You know what I mean? It's got a great retention, so if you want to carry this upside down, you're really not going to run into any problems with it falling out, I don't think. It is kind of big to be carried on the neck, but I don't have a problem with that. I like the I love the SOCP as a neck knife, so, and I'm going to get into that actually in a little bit with this one. Belt clip comes with it. I'm never going to use this with this sheath. I'm never going to put this on here, but you can see, how you can orientate it on your belt any which way you want. But I'm saying, I will never put this on here, but I may stick this onto something else. I don't know what, but I like this thing. Little adjustable belt loop. You can see that you can tighten it down. I believe those are probably Torx 10, T10. It's cool. You know what I mean? This is it's not very strong. It's kind of flimsy, but I mean, it's I'm probably going to use that for something. I don't know quite what. I'll actually show you the way I've been carrying this in a minute. If you're familiar with the SOCP daggers, from Benchmade, Spartan's got a SOCP kind of thing. Greg Thompson designed. This is actually a design from the guy's name is DJ Urbanovsky, right? He's got a lot of designs that are relatively similar in blade shape to this. This is kind of a signature blade shape for him. It's great, kind of a modified Warncliffe, but you can see his symbol there. I like his symbol as well. There's no traction on the top, but I mean, that right there, this thing, I don't really even know what to call that. Just a strike enhancer, honestly, is vicious, and it's designed very well. So I put this all the way on my wrist, or all the way into my hand. I give it a full fist grip, have it all the way up here and all the way engaged onto my finger, all the way onto my finger, right? The first thing that will come to contact with a proper punch is the tip of that little spike right there, right? So in that motion, that's going to be the first thing to ever make contact, right? So that's where the majority of your pressure is gonna lie, and that's mean. You know what I mean? That's an excellent weapon just in itself, excellent contact weapon. If you hold it back, which is much more comfortable for any sort of actual cutting you have to do, if you are going to be using this for stabbing, cutting, it feels much better like this. And for any sort of impact, it's the flat section actually that's making the impact like that. You know what I mean? Give a really good hit. So that's actually an excellent design right there, and it doesn't inhibit too much on carry. You know what I mean? Carrying this, retracting this in and out of my shirt. The way I've been carrying this, if you've seen the way I carry an SOCP, here it is. All right, I carry it around my neck like this and extract it actually out of my collar line, right? So I made this. Some ghetto shit. I didn't do it correctly because I orientated the knife. You can see here, I used the knife as a template, so the knife has to sit in the sheath in this direction here, right? And I did the suede on one side and then the raw leather on the other side on purpose. That way the idea was I could switch back and forth just depending on whichever I wanted to have outward in that particular day, right? But I carry the knife like this and I pull it out of my collar line like that. So the cutting edge is forward. You know, I can do any sort of defensive tasks, any sort of, you know, little cutting tasks I have to do, right? I can't actually carry it like this, because if I carry it like this, then you can see that cutting edge comes in and I'm stabbing myself with a little spike. So I messed up on the actual design of the sheath. However, it works really well. I think it looks pretty decent, and it's got a really good retention. I mean, I can shake it out, but it doesn't want to go anywhere. And I like the fact that it's silent. I like that as well. That's just a major benefit to leather. But one major drawback, which knife guys, I mean, have already probably noticed, and you're probably thinking about, is the cutting edge, right? The choil, there's no choil. It's just a finger. It is I don't know. Maybe it is. But there's no guard. There's no protection. Your finger is lying right up next to that cutting edge. But honestly, with your thumb here and your finger, it's not safe at all. It is not a safe design. However, I haven't had a problem with it. I've been stabbing trees, wood, a lot of dead crap, you know what I mean? Just to play around with it, beating it into stuff, and I haven't had a problem with it. I've never slipped up. I've never felt like my hand was going to come onto that cutting edge, but that's not to say that it isn't. So that is just a little bit of a detraction, but it looks so cool, and the way that it's actually incorporated into the grind, I like that. You know what I mean? That's an excellent aesthetic choice. So that it looks really cool. It plays into just how cool the actual knife looks overall. Yeah. So it's a negative and a positive the way that one is designed there. The overall ability for, the overall actual cutting ability behind this blade shape is much superior to the original. Again, I'm going to call it back to the SOCP. I'm going to do a versus video between the two, but this has got an excellent cutting edge. You can see that modified Warncliffe design here. It's got that double cut, right? And it gives you an excellent, just very stout tip. Excellent tip, but it still has a decent cut or penetration ability. I mean, because when you go in to any sort of soft material, it's going to be forced sideways. I mean, you're going to be doing a push cut in this direction here, but the belly, so there is still a slight bit of belly, right? So, I mean, you've still got a great cutting ability to this thing. And really, you've only got that much penetration capability. I don't know. It's probably like 3 inches. I'm going to guess. I didn't look up the specs. Sorry. I'll put them in the description, but it's probably like a 3-inch blade. And so that's the only penetration you got. So, I mean, you are going to be able to just slam that into some material. I love this thing for carving. Honestly, just removing just light carving tasks. Because I've always got to stick something in my hand, you know what I mean? And I can push cut, you know what I mean? You have it like this, and you can push cut with this just it works very, very well for removing material, creating feather sticks, if that's really what, you know what I mean, the idea behind it. I'm more doing it just because I've got a stick in my hand and I'm walking down the trail, need something to do. But it works really well for that. I like this thing for cutting stuff. You know what I mean? This is an excellent EDC option. It's very quick, it's very easy to access, and it has a decent cutting edge. I mean, you could do a little bit more of a belly, but you sacrifice the belly for that really stout tip. I mean, it's almost like a pry bar, so you can get in, you can dig around. There's one. I changed my oil today, and the plug, the actual, I don't know what it is, the oil plug, the little bolt that's in there, it's got a copper washer, a bronze washer around it, in between the actual that and the tank, and it was stuck to the tank. I couldn't get it off of the tank. I had this thing around my neck. It was outside of my shirt, pulled it out, and I was actually holding it like this, stuck it up around that washer, separated the washer from the tank, pulled it down so it was sitting on the actual nut, and then I removed the nut, so that they stayed together, didn't fall into the oil pan. And so it's just a stupid example, but I mean, it really works well for just general tasks, and you get a good push cutting ability, because it still has a lot of knives, you know, I mean, with a flat edge. A major drawback from a flat cutting surface or a flat cutting edge is when you come down onto flat material, onto a flat surface like this, you're always going to be making contact with the tip, right? It's always going to be tip contact. I've talked about this before in some of my other videos, but with this, you can still get belly contact. You can see that there. You can still get a good contact patch through this area here. So you're able to push cut material pretty easy, you know, easier. It still works. You're still going to snag up on the tip if it's thicker material, but a piece of paper, something like that. So this is, excuse me. This is definitely an excellent take on this genre of knife. I mean, it's got the, let's see, 440C stainless steel. I didn't, look up the specs. It's probably 0.2, 0.19, something like that, inches thick, I imagine. It's 2.8 ounces. That's my guess. I'll put the real weight in the description, but I'm going to guess 2.8 ounces. I forgot what I was even talking about. I'm glad that this genre of knife is continuing. I hope other designers and other makers start coming, you know, the straight edge ring knife. It's like a karambit that has been straightened out. You know what I mean? I hope companies continue to make these, because this one's definitely really cool. This is a Boker GITFO from DJ Urbanovsky and Boker Plus. Excellent stone wash. A tank of a little tactical ice pick. I didn't even mention the jimping. The jimping is more aesthetic than anything. Doesn't really do a whole lot. Damn. Yep. Y'all have a good one.